Good afternoon, everyone. Today's webinar, Holiday Marketing Magic, will begin shortly. Thank you for your patience. Hey, just a quick audio check. If you could hear me, please confirm by raising the hand in the GoToWebinar control panel. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Joel. We just wanted to be sure that you indeed could hear us. Thank you for confirming. So good afternoon. My name is Renato Sogecco. I'm a business educator at the Floriology Institute, and I'll be introducing our presenters today, Charlie Howard, BloomNet's Director of Products and Services, and our special guest today is David Shover, and he's the General Manager at Karen's Florist in Vienna, Virginia. We know your time is valuable, so we scheduled today to go for 40 minutes of presentation and 10 minutes for Q&A. We'll just wait a few more minutes to allow other registrants to log on and get settled. So in the meantime, I wanted to share quick news from Floriology Institute. We have 2 upcoming courses this fall. In a couple of weeks, we have a new course called Floral Operations for Profitability, which features our speaker today, Charlie, who will share insightful information on optimal flower shop operations and finance. Jackie Lacey, AIFD, CFD, PFCI, and as you all know, he's Floriology's Director of Education. He will also be sharing insights in this course on the business of design, and will also feature myself, and I'll be sharing best practices about digital marketing to help you drive more website business. So for the classes, for the other class, it's Reinventing Everyday Design with Donald Jim. And that was originally scheduled for September 10th through 12th, but due to Hurricane Irma, we had rescheduled that for mid-November, November 12th through the 14th. From what I see, we only have a couple of slots available, so if you're thinking about that class, please register as soon as possible. You may lose out on your chance to learn from one of today's most innovative designers. So for more information about these classes or to register, visit floriologyinstitute.com/register. So thank you for your patience. It looks like a good crowd has assembled, so let's get started. We're happy to present today's webinar, Holiday Marketing Magic, with presenter Charlie Howard, BloomNet's Director of Products and Services. For those who don't know Charlie, he brings a wealth of experience of running a successful floral business here in Jacksonville. And I know he's done this a couple of times, so for those who have been on the webinar before, I've asked Charlie to just give a little bit about himself. Charlie?
Oh, thank you, Renato. As Renato said, I've been here in Jacksonville as a florist for 25 years, turned 65 last year and decided to go ahead and retire. That lasted about 3 months and came back to work, and I'm over here at BloomNet now helping them out in various areas. You know, I started in the florist business basically as the accounting guy, but you very quickly get sucked into the whole operation, so I could design, I could deliver, I could receive flowers. I just knew the whole thing from top to bottom. Being an accountant, they also think that you're a computer wizard. I'm not sure how you get that title, but that's basically what ended up happening. So I've basically done it all. I've seen quite a bit, and I'm here to help. So after this webinar, you have my email address on the slide. And as I say, if there's anything that comes up and you want to know how you make a journal entry or how do you handle this particular problem, just email me and I'll see if I can help you out.
Well, you heard it there, folks. And the email is up on the screen for those who want to jot it down. We also have invited a very special guest, David Shover, AAF, CFD, AIFD, PFCI. And as mentioned, he is General Manager at Karen's Florist, a great floral business in Vienna, Virginia. David has had an amazing career. He's been a designer at past presidential inaugurations, Saks Fifth Avenue grand openings, Lord & Taylor design shows, Bloomingdale's Bridal Fair in Washington, D.C. His designs, his innovative designs, have been featured prominently in Flowers and The Knot, the bridal magazine of theirs, What's Up Weddings magazine. He's also served the floral industry as chairman of the trustees for the Professional Communicators International, PFCI, and currently serves both on the AIFD National Board of Directors and AIFD Southern Regional Board. Today he'll provide insights from another retail perspective on topics you presented today, specifically on open houses, since Karen's will be holding their open house fairly shortly. When are you guys gonna hold that open house, David?
The open house actually runs. We do that on Wednesday, November 15th.
Okay, mid-November. Well,
mid-November, yes.
Thank you very much, David, for joining us. So with that,
thank you.
Just another housekeeping note. If you have any questions throughout the broadcast, please type them in the questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel, and please, think of those questions along the way, and we'll find time to answer them. So with that, Charlie, let's get started.
Oh, thank you, Renato. All right. Well, Halloween is this coming Tuesday, and that usually begins the big push to get your shop ready for Christmas and the holiday season. So on Wednesday, let's take down the ghosts, the goblins, the witches, put them away for another year, and now it's time to decorate for Christmas or the December holiday. Although I'm an accountant and I don't have skills as a floral designer, I can share you some ideas about what worked over my 25 years in the flower shop. The first area we're going to talk about pretty much is decorating and merchandising. Starting earlier each year, it appears that there's a new trend. Summer is barely gone and Walmart already has Christmas out. So with that said, if you haven't already started your planning or whatever, you're behind the power curve and we basically need to get going. Let's first start with decorating the outside of your shop. That's if you have some visibility that you can get people going by. A tip is that the average car going 35 miles an hour will cover 51.33 feet per second. And if the driver can see your shop 50 feet before he gets there, and your shop is 100 feet long, the driver has about 3 seconds to take a look at your shop. So with that being said, everything that he sees has got to be big. So if you've got a sign, it better have big letters. And try to keep the letters or the words down to 3 to 4 words, such as big sale, Christmas is here, Santa buys here. On lights, you want to basically try to light your place up at night. And remember, we're going to be turning over shortly to daylight savings time, and you're going to want to basically have your shop lit up so it sticks out. People can actually see you.
Yeah, it's true, because sunset would now be at right after 5:30, I guess.
Right. So it's going to start being dark. So you're going to go to work in the dark, and you're going to leave the shop in the dark. Another tip basically is for the outside is that, yes, the lights are nice, but boy, if you can get them to flash or twinkle or do something, just again, to break up so that people will actually notice that your shop is there. Getting back to the big again, I know that the size does matter. If you've got a 3-foot tree out there going at 35 miles an hour, they'll barely see it. If it was a 12-footer, they would definitely get some attention. David, you got any other ideas on outside decorating?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. A couple of things you need to keep in mind, as Charlie actually said, there's 2 different types of displays that we can create, and one is for drive-by traffic, meaning just what he said. The items need to be big. You need to do less items within your windows and within your store displays there that are seen from the street. And the motion being lights in the window, or things that are moving in the window that attracts their attention is always good. The other one would be walk-by. So if you're actually in a small area where you have people walking by your store, then you can actually use smaller items so that because they actually will stop and look at the items. But again, it needs to have something that draws their attention, whether that's motion, lights, whatever that might be.
Great, thanks, David. And I know with Karen's, well, I used to live up there, as you know. So you do have some slow traffic coming by your come rush hour in the evening.
Yeah.
So a great opportunity for Karen's Florist.
Yeah, it is a very busy street, and we do have a red light that's right in front of the store, so people do stop. We are set back from the street, so it's surprising at how many people don't even know where we're located. So we always try and do some larger items in the window and also lights. But the thing about the lights that you have to keep in mind with your windows is make sure you know your city's ordinances. Here we can't have anything that's really flashing or distracting that's going to cause an accident. So we have to be kind of careful on that. But
yeah, great tip, David. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now, because I'm an accountant, I'm not really a good decorator inside, but I know what worked when we had our shop there at Kuhn Flowers, and unfortunately for us, we were a little larger than the normal one because we had 20,000 square feet, and most of that was up in the front, so we had windows that were 16 feet high and 12 feet wide, so we could really decorate quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But I know that, as David said before, we did have an actual Santa's workshop with mechanical things that we could put in the store, and basically we had Santa and Rudolph and Mrs. Claus, and we had about 5 elves, and they were all basically animated, so it looked like you were part of Disneyland when you came to our store, and it was very, very impressive. And at night you would have people lining up just looking at the display because it was something that took a lot of manpower to put together. It probably took us 3 to 4 days just to put the display all together and get it up and running, but it really worked. But inside we were able to do various things, and you had to make sure, again, that when you walked into our shop, it yelled Christmas at you and so forth. How about you, David? What do you do at your shop?
Yes, actually what we do, we actually start the process when we go to market in January. And there's a team from the store that goes to market, and we start purchasing different items for the following Christmas holiday. And with that, we kind of come up with different themes, knowing that probably about 70% of our customers are going to be more traditional and want the reds, greens, whites, gold, silvers, that type of thing. And then also there's a small percentage of those customers that always want to see something different. So we tend to go into areas where we actually do a little trendy section, being a much smaller display, so we don't buy nearly as much for that. But when we actually look at doing the displays, I usually start about August or September, and I have a planogram of the store that I just basically circle what areas and what colors are going in that specific area. Keeping in mind that when a customer walks through your door, the first 10 feet, they're not going to see anything. It's a period of time when they have to adjust to walking into a new environment. So keeping that in mind, anything that you really want to highlight has to be further into the store. But I also look at the merchandising inside of the store as kind of in groupings or color themes, because that's more pleasing for the customer to walk in and actually view that area. If it's very clean, very neat, same colors, same theme, it's much easier for them to do. So here at Karen's, I think we have about 20 different areas, some larger, some smaller, that we concentrate different themes throughout the holiday season.
Great, thank you.
Good. One of the other comments that I'd like to make about when you're merchandising your store, one of the biggest things that used to get me upset was when we didn't have something that was on the floor that was priced. And our feeling was that everything that we had on the store that we put on the floor, it was for sale. So let's make sure that we have a price tag on it so the customer knows exactly what it cost, and it also helps the clerk to be able to ring it up.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah, Charlie, that's one thing. That's one.
Go
If
ahead,
I can
David.
add something,
Sorry.
that is one thing that we definitely stick to here. And my thought process is, if it does not have a price, it doesn't get merchandised until you have a price. The other thing is, even our window displays, we don't price them with price tags, but we actually have a price for everything in the window, so that if a customer walks in and says, I want the wreath or the whatever's in the window, the salespeople know right away. They have a chart they can go to and actually know exactly how much that is.
Oh, that's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, the next area that we're going to talk about pretty much is going to be inventory. And we'll start off with flowers, because that's what I do here at BloomNet, is I sell flowers. And every year we seem to be running tight on the red flowers and the white flowers, so we urge you to go ahead and try to order them at a head if you can. If you have a standing order, just make sure that they're going to honor your standing order and you'll get your flowers that you need. How about you, David? I know you're a flower buyer.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and that is one of my key jobs here at Karen's Florist. I actually purchase the fresh products and plants here. So basically, we have it set up that we have a standing order. We know our budget each week. We have a standing of order of flowers that come in, and that is adjusted periodically, usually for the season. So when it rolls around towards Christmas, that standing order are items that I know I'm going to be using throughout the week. It could be as simple as making sure they fall in line with our feature designs that we're actually promoting. And we create our own features. All of our arrangements on our website are arrangements that we have created and taken pictures of. So we have some pretty good control over what flowers are going into that. And then, of course, I always leave a little bit of a budget where I can go and buy those specialty flowers that the customer isn't going to find down the street. So,
yeah, that's good. The other area is the greenhouse, and for some of you that have greenhouses, or you bring in some plants, especially the poinsettias, the boxwoods, or you've got some evergreens or ferns and so forth, you need to make sure that you kind of order them fairly early. It's a rumor right now that boxwoods are going to be in short supply this year. But I always got a big kick out of when you bring in the poinsettias, you never knew exactly which colors were going to be the sellers and which ones you're going to get stuck with at the end of the season. So we're always trying to cut back on maybe the whites, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted white this year, or you brought the pinks in and they didn't want the pinks, they wanted the reds or the whites. So that always seems to be a challenge. How about up there in Virginia?
yeah, that has been a challenge of mine. I took over the position as general manager a little over a year ago, and what I've done for the past, well, last year and this year, is I'm creating a spreadsheet. And I look at past numbers, and I do this for a lot of different things, but especially the plants. Look at what we sold last year, and that's basically what I'm doing my pre-books off of. We have some clients who they actually order multiples, where it's 10 to 20, maybe 50 of one plant, or a variety of different plants within that grouping. So what I have is a spreadsheet that I started, and I have my pre-books across the top. Then as the orders come in, I'm adding them to the list. Once they're added to the list, they automatically deduct from that top of what I've ordered. So it gives me a really good sheet to follow, and I know when I have to actually order more of the poinsettias. But our challenge is we don't have a greenhouse, so we have to be careful on when we bring them in. And I kind of have timed it on a weekly basis as to what comes into the store.
All right. Well, good. On the holiday containers, where I come in basically is that most of the holiday containers, you probably went to a show, whether it was Atlanta or you went to Dallas or you went to one of your local wholesalers where they were holding a show. You went ahead and you ordered your holiday giftware and containers and so forth way ahead of time. And normally what they like to do is they like to ship them in probably during the summer. And during the summer it's slow, and you go ahead and you put it in your inventory or in the back shelves or the back room, and then you start sometimes pulling them out. And some people have waited, and when they pull their containers out, all of a sudden they find out that they're missing some, or they're damaged, or something along in that line, and that becomes a problem because then when you go to replace it, sometimes they don't have any more inventory. We've got the accessories, and again, this is just kind of a pick list that you want to kind of go through, and that is that, you know, do you have your candles, do you have your picks, do you have your candy canes, your ribbon, your pine cones, and so forth. And then we'll also now hit the supplies to be able to take care of the orders, the order forms, the printer cartridges, your packaging for your boxes, and your tissue. And now we'll talk about planning special events. And I know that David is really good on open houses, and he's going to tell us all about what he does when he's conducting an open house.
Yeah, we have actually, here at Karen's, we have actually done open houses. I would say we're probably in about our 20th year on an annual basis, and it runs so smooth because the first time you do it, it could be a little rough because it's kind of a learning curve at that point. But I've kind of broken it down into a couple different categories. And first off would be marketing. If you're going to have an open house, you actually have to determine the best time to hold that event. And that would be what works in your area. So is it more on a weekend? Is it a Sunday? Is it during the week? Ours, for the best time, is the middle of the week. The open house runs from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And the last couple years, we've had a very unique group want to come in, and if you've ever heard of them, the Red Hat Ladies. They're all over the country. They actually show up at 2:30 for a special showing and are usually here for about an hour or so, and then they kind of leave out the back door. But then, of course, we create a flyer that we hand out, and we advertise on social media. We do ask for RSVPs, just so that we have a little bit of a control on how many people are coming. Our open house will probably have up to about 400, 450 people. And we've kind of added things as we've gone over the years. One other thing as far as marketing or thing you need to think about, how do you get the people in? One of them could be to offer a discount. We actually do 10% discount on any merchandise that's bought that evening. And it's amazing at how much of our holiday purchasing is done that night for the gift wares. Then, of course, as we talked about merchandising, very important, about a week or two prior to that, we are actually flipping the store. It goes from everyday to holiday. And with the open house itself, we want to really show off our designs. So we do our own features. So we have one area in the store that basically has a sampling of some of those feature designs set up so they can see them live instead of just looking at it on a brochure. They can actually see it in person. And that gives them ideas as to maybe they want to send it to their clients as a thank you gift. The other thing is, too, is we have several different areas throughout the store that actually feature different displays. We have a couple areas where we have food. We have one of the local restaurants come in and they serve food. We have another vendor of ours come in and they serve desserts. This year we are actually partnering with Mars Corporation, and we're doing a test market run of flowers and the Ethel M, which is the higher grade chocolates from Ethel M, together. They're selling it, they're promoting it on their website, we're promoting it on ours. We're going to see how that goes. If that works well, then they want to open that up across the nation. We invite vendors in, as I said, food vendors. The other two vendors that we actually invite in is we have gourmet items we carry. So we invite our vendor that we buy the gourmet from to come in and we sample probably about 6 or 7 different items that we sell as our gourmet items. So they can sample that. We also sell wine here. We have a liquor license to sell wines. So we have the 2 vendors coming in for that do wine sampling, wine tasting here as well. So all of that together kind of make up the whole event. So, and then of course, did you want me to go into the planning part of that, or?
Well, one thing that I wanted to ask, this is Renato David.
Sure. Sure.
Like, as you know, I've attended plenty of those open houses over the years.
Yes.
While I was living in Virginia, and it always impressed me. You know, it always felt like a big party, and and the reason why, and yes, we have spent plenty of money with you guys, but I think one thing that I was very impressed with were the number of vendors that were there. So is that something that you guys have developed over the years, or was it 1 year and then everyone seemed to like the collaboration and they stuck with you? I mean, or are you guys in a constant mode of maybe finding partners to have this open house in collaboration?
Right. Yes, it's a little bit of both, actually. We have several different vendors that we promote, and then they also use us throughout the year. So what we'll do when we actually start to plan this, and they do change from year to year, but we have one local restaurant here that has been with us probably for about 5 or 6 years now. She will come in, and the good part is with the 300, 400 people that are here, it's a good promotion for her. So they're getting a small sampling of food, and that will draw them to their site as well. So it has changed a little bit, but all in all, it's usually the same people come back.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember 1 year was Maggiano's was there.
Right. Yeah. Maggiano's was one, and we have a local restaurant, Basin's, that's going to join us this year. So, I think Basin's was here last year. So,
how much of that, David, is from your participation or Maris's participation? And Maris Angolia, she's the president of the company, but I know that she is very active in the local Chamber of Commerce. Has that been a great source for this type of collaboration?
It definitely has. And that's one thing that Maris holds very strong, and we hold strong here at Karen's, is we like to really get involved with the community. So she is on a lot of the different chambers that are around in our area, and we have several. So we're always putting out feelers for ourselves as far as new clients. And that's one way that she could meet a lot of people. There's a open air theater here, Wolf Trap, which is very dear to her, and there's a lot of people, a lot of our clients have come to us from that because Maris got so involved. So getting involved in the community is a very big part of Karen's Florist, yes.
Great insights, David. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The other thing that we did at Kuhn's was basically pictures with Santa. And, of course, I was Santa for about 12 years, so I got to know the kids from being babies all the way up to getting into junior high school. And it was a real good deal, and that basically we had Santa, which was me, sitting in a throne with a couple elves, and we were giving out candy canes, and the kids would come in, and we would actually take a picture of them and then put it on a little fold-out folder that had our name and the year. And you'd just be amazed at how many kids I would see. I would see anywhere from 150 to 250 in a course of 3 hours.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was really a big thing, and the word just got around. And it did cost us more than a couple bucks to do it for each picture. So all in all, it was very, very successful for us. Well, I know that Renato wants us to keep this moving, and I'm going to put the onus back on him as we get into the marketing and promotion ideas, especially something called SEO.
Yeah, that's search engine optimization, and the reason why those 3 words are super important is because most probably, like we've talked about merchandising and people driving by your store and people walking by, but most probably a lot of your customers will find your shop and the potential services and products that you offer by using a search engine like Google or Bing or something like that. So, just like what David and Charlie described, that you really have to prepare your storefront for this type of business, you also have to treat your website as your 24-hour storefront. And I think a lot of people may think, well, okay, that means I just have to maybe dress up like my homepage, with holiday products and gear in order to do this. Well, actually, that's not the best way to search engine optimize your website. The best way to do it is if you create a special subpage on your website that talks about the upcoming holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas. That way, Google, in fact, really appreciates that stuff, because when they find that you've taken the time and the effort to create a specific web page just for Thanksgiving arrangements, or a specific page just for Christmas, Hanukkah, and other holiday arrangements, you will rank high when people do search for those specific terms. The other way that we all need to consider marketing these days is investing dollars in search marketing. And of course, Google is such a dominant search engine. In fact, they own about more than 90% of the search market. Please seriously consider investing dollars in their AdWords platform, because you have a lot of people that do search for Christmas table arrangement or Thanksgiving table arrangement, fall arrangement, and those types of terms that you really need to be high in that search. Because if you think about it, when you do a search, even though it could be for anything that a bicycle, a car, or what have you, the first things that pop up on that search screen are ads. And if you're on Google, that's AdWords, and on Bing, it's their Bing ads. So definitely consider search marketing.
All right. Social media is another topic that Renato's an expert at, but we'll skip that for a minute. We'll go down to the email campaigns. Just make sure that if you can get a couple emails out during the holiday season, remind us guys that we have to take care of certain people, and you've got the products to be able to do that. On radio, one of the things that we were able to do, because it does get a little pricey, is that radio stations normally like to thank their customers that are with them year-round. And one of the ways we were able to do it is with what we call a trade credit. We would actually trade merchandise for advertising. And there's a lot of radio stations, at least down here in Jacksonville, that will go ahead and do trade credit. So you can go ahead and give them $1,500 worth of arrangements, and they'll give you $1,500 worth of their ad time. Sort of kind of works.
So, David, I just wanted to get you involved in this conversation.
Sure.
And put you on the spot a little bit. What's your marketing and promotion mix for the holidays?
Okay. Yes, the trading is a great opportunity, because we do that with several different companies, where at the beginning of the year we actually do a for trade kind of combination, whether we pay them a little money and then get the trade or whatever. A couple things that we're doing. First off, like you talked about with our website is always changing. We have articles on there, we have blogs on there with the keywords. Maris has really done some research into what keywords should go on our site to keep us at the top. So, and she's really good with all of that marketing. A couple things that we're doing. We actually have, of course, our customer list that we send an email blast out to. She has certain scheduled email blasts to go out, so she doesn't inundate people and they want to just delete us completely, but actually want to read them, and they're about various different topics that we have, the holiday being one of them, and we feature different designs for those holidays on that particular blast.
David, I'm going to put you on the spot here. And
Sure.
if you can't answer the question, that's fine, because I know Meredith does a lot of work on this. But on the social media front, you know, like what's your philosophy on that? I mean, like what kind of posts do you guys push on social media?
Oh, wow. We push a lot of different ones. We are very fortunate that we hired a social media person who currently is a news anchor for one of the Washington D.C. stations, so which is good. So, and her writing is amazing. She actually writes. We give her ideas. She writes it. Then it'll go on to, whether it's we keep things on Facebook. We'll actually go on to also go on to Twitter, and she writes all of our blogs. So we really, a lot of the things that we feature there are some of the more unusual things, that whether it's an arrangement that one of the designers did, an unusual type of flower, whatever we find in the store that's a little bit unusual, we push out there, and we get a really good response back from them.
Interesting. So, you know, like the one tip I wanted to add for social media, I think a lot of people, you know, make the same mistake, because I see it a lot on florist websites, that they don't include a link back from that post back to the website. And a lot of people do that, but they make a secondary mistake of just including a link back to the main website. So, for example, if their post is talking about like holiday flowers, and like I mentioned, you know, one of the best practices that we shared today was you really need to make sure that you create a special page just for Thanksgiving. And if you were to post something about Thanksgiving, include that subdomain URL, the whole URL that would go to that subpage within that link. You know, we could also take it further. If the post is to a specific product, include the link to that specific product right in Facebook. And one thing that you'll find with Facebook is that it's very link friendly. So how you do this is, like, when you first create the link or the post on Facebook, be sure that you copy the link off your website first to that specific product. When you go on Facebook, the first thing you'd want to do is drop that link right into that posting box, and then you'll find that Facebook will actually create a unique box for you that will probably include a picture of the product and the product description. And then what you could do is then you could embellish that post with, you know, whatever you want to embellish as the post, and hit publish. You know, a lot of people say, well, I have a ton of products that we want to promote over the holiday season. One thing great about these pages or these posts is that you could certainly like what I call it, schedule them for future publication. So you could devote maybe an hour or so on that Monday and write up maybe 6 or 7 posts that you want to publish for that week, and you know, just by scheduling them. So, you know, that was my tip on social media. And like the other question I get a lot for the holiday season is, like, what social media should we focus on? Facebook, of course. I mean, like, the conversation here has been dominant with Facebook talk, but that's because you have 2 billion users on Facebook. If you do want to start doing an outreach to millennials, the next one, the next 2 I would recommend would be Pinterest as well as Instagram. Those, of course, are very photo heavy, but they, especially Pinterest, you could drive a lot of links back from Pinterest back to your website. And if you are out to generate more corporate holiday business, LinkedIn is a great social media to participate with.
Good. All right. When we get down to television and cable, basically for most of us, the advertising on those medias have gotten to be extremely expensive, and a lot of the spots now are eaten up by the big Fortune 500 companies, if you will. And there's also so many different channels that you can actually try to pick to find out where your market's going to be, so it becomes very difficult. But one of the things that was brought to my attention recently is that most of the cable companies will have some sort of local event community page that you can actually advertise on for free. So if you were having an open house or whatever, you could probably put it on that channel, and you'd be amazed at how much viewing that channel actually will get. The other thing, talking about newspapers or something along that line, is Craigslist. I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to get for free, and they had a category saying, stuff for free. I went ahead and put it on there, and I had 20 emails within a 10-minute period where people wanted that free stuff. So again, if you've got something like that that you can utilize, that's great. How about you, David? Any more comments on our marketing?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it pretty good. I know that we are actually on all of those social media sites, and Maris keeps as active as possible on them. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I would suggest is any of this, if you want to really step into the millennials and really aim towards them, we need to be thinking like them. So my suggestion would be find someone who is younger, who can actually understand all of the Pinterest and all of those, and use them as your social media person. Whether they're in your store or not, I mean, ours, Anjali comes in probably about 3 or 4 hours a week, but we shuffle the information out to her and she puts it right up on our site. So, and it seems to be working quite well.
Great. We do have time. We do have a session now for questions. So we already have a couple in the queue. So if you do have any questions on any of the topics that were presented, please go ahead and like I mentioned, place them in the questions section in your GoToWebinar control panel. So we'll start off with our first question, and this is from Laura Smith. I'm a florist in Cape May County, New Jersey. We are a seasonal shop that closes in January and reopens April 1st. How do we capture the market of second homeowners that have property here at the shore when they are here in summer and only return on weekends afterwards and during the holidays?
Well, that's an interesting question.
David, could you pitch it here?
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that comes to mind here is what I would really try and do is I would try and build an email address book with their emails, a listing with their emails, so you can promote to them while they are there in your area, making sure that you don't inundate them with information when they're not, so that they don't literally block you from the very beginning. But having kind of a pathway to reach them and show them what you're doing. I know what we do is here at Karen's is we always promote our upcoming like holiday events and our upcoming holiday arrangements, and we'll email those out to our clients. So doing it while they're actually in your area, I think would really put your name out there so that next time you're there, they think flowers, they think your name.
Just to extend or add on to David's comments, getting back to this whole idea of search engine optimization, like these folks that come in temporarily, or like they summer up there, they will certainly do searches on their tablets and computers that they'll undoubtedly bring up with them. So again, I think it's one of those things where if you want to be sure that you have some good promotion happening, make sure that your website is up to date, with all the things that you could offer these folks. Again, you could also turn back to AdWords. AdWords is a wonderful tool because you could turn it on and off. So, just turn it on when you need it. Just start maybe ramping up the promotion, a week or 2 weeks prior to the season, just to let people know that you're open for business and you're ready to accommodate their needs. So that's where I would go with that.
The other thing to look at maybe is your POS or order entry system, and see how much information you can actually capture on not only the customer but also the recipient of those orders, because those are two sources of where you can actually market to.
Mhm.
So we still have a few minutes left for any last-minute questions. We'll hang around for maybe another 30 to 40 seconds to give you time to write up your questions in the questions bar. But I guess in that time, you know, could I ask you guys for maybe any last-second, 11th hour nuggets of good marketing advice that you didn't share and that you want to cap off with?
Take the order, get the cash.
That sounds good.
David, what about you? Any last moment?
Well, I think that I kind of applaud everyone who is on here because you are educating yourself. I think just sharing your experiences with your friends' experiences and maybe adapting to your area works really well. The thing is, just do your best at merchandising, show the product you have on social media, get it out there. We have found with our website, it's amazing. Our website sales are up 45% over last year. So it's working. I mean, it's working. So just do your best.
David, Charlie, thank you again for the presentations. And in case you did have a question, you know, like the emails were you presented at the beginning, it's for Charlie, it's cHoward@worldflowers.com. And David, just to clarify, is it David at Karen'sFlorist.com?
That is correct, and it's Karen, Krins, and one florist.
You got it.
Karen with an I, okay?
Karen with an I.
Cool.
All right.
Karen
Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and have a great day.